Now to an update. The city of Longview is pouring through public suggestions on how to relieve traffic on a busy road. 4th Street from Loop 281 to Highway 259 has seen more traffic because retail expanded in the area. And as our Jamie Boyum reports, the city and many East Texans agree making the corridor safer is a top priority.
On 4th Street in Longview, a woman waited about 8 minutes to cross the road and then had to make a run for it. The problem? Traffic. The city of Longview is open to suggestions to make 4th Street safe, so they organized an open house where residents like Margot McCauley could talk about it directly with Longview Metropolitan Planning Manager Brian McBride.
It's past needing help. There's just too much congestion, and people take a risk trying to go in or out of the parking lots, so it's very difficult. I try to avoid it.
She doesn't turn left onto 4th, but she's not just worried about herself.
I'm concerned about my granddaughter driving through there, and she lives down the street in some apartments, but it's not easy to maneuver through the traffic, but it's really busy.
And it's really busy because of ever-expanding retail.
They've got 18-wheelers coming in to supply the stores, and school buses go through there, so it's, and just a lot of traffic.
The city set up stations at the open house, some with interactive maps so attendees could identify trouble areas with color-coded stickers.
Do you want more mobility? Do you want better safety improvements, pedestrian access?
McBride says it was also important to have face-to-face conversations.
Actually have meaningful dialogue and see the concerns of this corridor.
Plans are not drawn up yet, so in the meantime, McCauley advises paying attention in the area since
some people do speed through there. They run the lights. It's dangerous, so you really have to be careful.
Jamie Boyum, KLTV 7 News.
Longview Metropolitan Planning tells us some of the suggestions include more speed limit signs and access management like medians and a turn lane. They're now working on crafting a summary of that open house event.